Well, good afternoon, everybody. Just leaving Chiang Rai. Things took a bit longer than anticipated. Yeah, as you can see in the back seat, I got a bunch of goodies. There was one thing I didn't get that I wanted they didn't have, so I will. Traffic's pretty heavy because of the rain. It's like Seattle here. When it rains, it's like they've never seen it before. You know. Heaven help you when it snows in Seattle. God. Oh my God, it's crazy. That's the funnest time of year for me. I love that. You wake up at like 2 in the morning and it's got that silence, muffled, insulated sound outside, you know. Oh, you know, it snowed. So man, I'm going out in the truck. Gotta do some roadies and sliding around and doing some shit, you know. It's good to practice. Just make sure you don't forget where the curbs are in a parking lot or something. Back in God, I don't remember the year. Of course, there's no subject of this video. I'm just going to talk. After I built my first house south of Everett, Washington, maybe a year, 2 years into it, they built a Lowe's. You know, a big box like Home Depot or Robinson's or Global House, whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. Back in the Lowe's days, you saw Jimmy Johnson. I think he had a Lowe's car. Anyway, so excited about that because didn't have to drive all the way to damn near to Everett to go to Home Depot. It was just less than a mile from my house. But there was a bypass 4-lane road behind it. And it was closed. And it had snowed. So at 2:30, 3 a.m., I'm just having a blast. Sliding all over. Gotta move over here. Truck doing a U-turn. Yeah, you know, just I call it having fun, but you could call it practice. You know, reverse 180s and power slides, and you know, deliberately getting yourself out of control and getting back in control. It's good training, you know. I love driving in the snow. It's when you hit the black ice, that's the scary part. But anyway, this was a flat, pretty much flat road, and I'm out there for like a half an hour or better, just stirring it up, you know, by myself. Next thing you know, I'm lit up. You know, when those blue and red lights go, you can see them everywhere in the snow, right? All around you. I'm like, oh shit. And we pulled up alongside each other like this. So what you doing? I said, well, we don't get good snow like this very often. And the road's closed. I figured I'd have some fun. It's okay. Fun's over. Why don't you take it on home? I said, thank you, officer. That was it. End of story. I was like, yeehaw. I've gotten, I don't want to say got off because the jokes will come, but I got released from a potential ticket numerous times because of just sheer luck. On the way home from work, the company that I worked for was based in Redmond, Washington. Not Redmond, California, but Redmond, Washington. And I could either go Interstate 405 or I could go the back roads over the river and through the woods, right? And past these a valley, and you know, there's cattle, dairy cows out there, and you know the smell, right? The silage and all that shit. But I'd get on that road with my company brand new F-150 and straighten out the curves, right? It's like a 35 mile an hour road. 40. It's 40, and then it drops when you get into the county line. It drops to 35, and it's like no advance warning, reduced speed ahead, none of that shit. And there's always a trooper hidden somewhere. And by the time I was jamming the tunes. By the time I realized I was at that point, it was too late to even slow down. So I said, screw it, I'm not going to slow down. I was doing about 70. And I'm looking in my rearview mirror. Actually, looking this way, not this way. And no sweat. I'm just hauling ass. The thing you got to watch out for is people moving their cattle across the road, or a tractor going from his farm to his house across the road, that kind of thing. And that's pretty much it. Rarely did you see cyclists, bicycles and shit. They usually rode another highway. And so anyway, I get close to my turnoff to go over this bridge over the river, and sure as shit, next thing I know, I see this guy standing in the middle of the road waving. I thought, oh shit, County Mountie, So I pulled over and we start the discussion. Did you realize how fast you're going? Yeah, I know I was doing 85 and fucking smoking dope, and I'm having a bag, but what's the problem? No, I said, actually, no, I didn't. I was preoccupied with thinking about work and everything, and it's been a long day, blah, blah, blah. He says, well, I clocked you at 68 miles per hour, and it's 35 miles an hour. Do you know that's a reckless driving ticket? And I'm thinking, oh, fuck. Because that, it's bumpy construction. It's discretionary, right? They can hang you out to dry or cut you some slack. drop it down so you don't get a reckless. Because that's a biggie in Washington State. They can take your license, blah, blah, blah. But if you just get a right to the point ticket, right up to the limit, it's just a heavy ass fine. Maybe some remedial training, maybe a class or two to remind you of safety and, watch those stupid gore flicks that were made in the 60s and 70s. Anyway, well, this lady was parked in this, turnout, dirt, gravel turnout, where the officer was. You can't see him until you're like right there. And she was parked on the other side of it. And a civilian. I didn't think anything of it. I'm just thinking, shit. Now, every time I get to be like X amount of years without a ticket, I get a ticket. So it's after 3 years or something. I'd have to look it up. Maybe Ralph or something can, because he's from there, or Cabo or someone can remind me. But there's I think they clear your record after 3 years of no moving violations. Okay, I'm not talking parking tickets and stuff like that. At any rate, next thing you know, he's got my driver's license and my registration and my proof of insurance sitting on the roof of my truck, right here, right. He had like a little felt covered magnet. Guy's prepared. Put it on the roof, put the thing down, so he didn't have to, mess with it. He could support his little ticket book and his Glock and be happy. But the next thing you know, I hear this lady go, she points on the road, that's him, that's him, that's him, that's him. Are you sure? Are you sure? Apparently there'd been this guy that was blowing through there at like 80 miles an hour every day. And it got on this lady's nerves. Naturally, right? It would mine too, because just past that turn there's farmhouses and shit, and there's fucking kids, and it's like a little burg, right? A little city, not really a city, but there's a lot of houses on either side of the road. So, and kids, that the road drops off and their driveways drop off, so they ride their bikes on the road. You know what I mean? Wish I had some ice for that coffee now. But so it pissed her off, so she called the police numerous times. They finally came out, and she met him out there, and lo and behold, here comes Mitch, hauling ass, hauling the mail, as Daryl Waltrip would say back in the day. And I get pulled over. Like I said, go through the routine, the dialogue, and he's going to write me a ticket, right? And I'm not sure if he's gonna fucking hang me, meaning a reckless, where boom, they tow your car or truck. It's a lot higher up the ladder than at the edge of the limit. They take your license for a period of time. I don't know what it is, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. With a record like mine, it would be the shortest, possible time. But anyway, she says, there he is, that's him. Are you sure? Yeah, that's him, I know. And he goes, he grabs my shit off the top of my truck. He says, "Today's your lucky day. Get out of here." He throws the shit in my car, in the truck, and I says, "Right away, I'm out of here," before he changes his fucking mind. Dude, total luck. Got a few more stories like that. Back in 75, before a lot of you were born, 1975, my dad got a Christmas bonus, right? A big one. He had moved up in the world, right? And he got a wild hair up his ass because the neighbor. He was our neighbor was from California, and I'm checking out the flat work they're doing over here, the concrete highway. They're troweling and yeah, looking good, guys. Anyway. The neighbor, like I said, came from California, and they rode all the time. Like Dave rides all the time, rode all the time in California. You just do. And they go out in the desert. You're not far from the desert, so they're rocking and rolling out in the desert and having a blast and doing all that kind of stuff. And then my neighbor's son, who's the same age as me, comes up from California for the summer, right? And we become friends and all this stuff. And I don't know. I think it was at that point where my dad got it in his head, I'm going to get the boys some bikes, I mean, we had a little Honda 50 that we fought over. It was always a pain in the ass to run, And because we never had a tune. We didn't know how to tune it. Probably simple Simon now, but back then I was clueless. But so my dad comes home on a trailer. They delivered him with a 1975s, an XL 175, an XL 250, and an XL 350. 175 was for me, 250 for my older brother, 350 for my dad. My mom came uncorked. I mean, just uncorked. How am I going to control the kids now? I'm being real nice on how she said it. She was on fire. He says, just take the keys. If they if they misbehave, whatever, just take the keys, man. He didn't say man, but just take the keys away. Well, you know how easy it is to hotwire a 1975 motorcycle? I mean, you just unscrew where the key goes in, and it's not an electric start. It's just turn the power on and kick, right? But you unscrew that, and you jump those two wires and kick it. And there you go. So we would we'd sneak out of the house, push the bikes out past the end of the drive, and then halfway up the road, and then we'd start the bikes, and we'd go riding. And of course we'd get busted when we got back. But my older brother and I, my younger brother didn't get a motorcycle until later, but my older brother and I, my older brother. Anyway, don't want to go off on that tangent. We would ride. There's a gravel pits over the hill from the horse stables, right? And there were horse trails, And we had horses ourselves. So we respected the riders. We respected the people with horses. So when we would ride the trails that were, it was public property, but it was pretty much for horses, right? But we would ride our bikes, and seriously, wouldn't even get out of first gear. Just nice and slow, maybe that half a mile over the hump to the gravel pits, right? Where it was just like berms and jumps and you name it, right? A blast. And we'd ride and crash and get road rash and all that shit, right? But occasionally, instead of doing the horse trail, we'd go up the road. And so there's one story I can tell you about that, but I'm going to tell you about another one. We went through the horse trails, but if you keep going, you end up going over another ridge, and then it comes out, there's like a berm where they've taken a dozer and put it like a 4-foot berm at the end of this dead end road. And in the middle of it, there's like where you could ride a horse through, or a bicycle, or a motorcycle. And we were over at my brother's friend's house. My friend too, but it was my brother's friend. And then, all right, man, see you later. And this was back when they were driving around those old Dodge sleeper cars, right? They were like dark green or gray or white or black, just nothing. No lights, no nothing. Sneaker cops, right? The lights were in the grill. Maybe they had a spotlight, but we called them sneaker cops. And they were Dodge somethings. Anyway, we left Brent's house, and next thing I know, my brother just romps on it, just starts hauling ass, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I realized there was a cop right on my ass. His lights are going, and it goes whoop whoop, you know. And I went, fuck, and I dropped it down to gear and just fucking, went for it. I had about a half a mile to get to freedom, right? To get to that berm. And there's all the trees, branches hanging over the road and all this shit. And he kept getting up alongside of me and turning into me like he's gonna hit me. And then he'd slam on his brakes. Keep doing that. I was like, oh fuck. And branches are whipping me, just like fucking crazy. And I dropped it down like two more, went from 5th to 3rd. And I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm not. And then he got behind me, and then I got in front of him, and he probably didn't want to kill some teenager, but I'm just eyeballing that gap like you're on soy 6, eyeballing that gap. And holy crap, I barely made it. And he just locked them up. This is long before ABS and all that shit. He's all sideways, dust flying, gravel flying, and that was a close one. So I've outrun the police a number of times, both in a vehicle and a motorcycle. Yeah. The other time was Gary, the guy from California, was up for the summer, and he had the neighbors stepdaughter on the back of his bike, and I was riding solo on mine, and I had moved up to a CR 125, right? I mean, a dirt bike, right? I bought it with my own work money, and so I mean, you know, you could ride wheelies for days on that bike, and so Gary pulls over. We're not even to the pits yet. He just pulls over on a white spot. I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes like this. He comes back. It's a fucking cop. Well, of course, I didn't see him. I didn't have any mirrors or nothing. It's a dirt bike. Well, what do? Right? I romped on it. Sprayed his car with gravel. He couldn't pursue me because he was driving a lady home whose car had broken down, and they towed it to the shop. He says, "Well, I could take you up the hill, right?" So at that point, he shifts from police officer to emergency vehicle, right? Because I thought, I went up over the hill and through the woods to my parents' house. I go, right, and I'm up on top of the hill and I'm looking down. I can see my street and where my house is, my parents' house, and all that shit. And I see this cop going up and down, and around, and up and down, and up and down. Well, finally he left. And I thought, well, it didn't dawn on me that Gary, you know, dropped a dime. Oh, that's bitch, and he lives here, and da 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 da. So he wrote a ticket. Failure to yield to an emergency vehicle. I broke his windshield, cracked his windshield, fucked up the paint on his hood and front end, and no broken headlights, which is surprising. And I ride down, and then I coast down the hill, and then into my driveway, and I'm like, ha ha! And my mom comes out with this green thing. This fucking look on her face. I'm like, oh shit, busted. Got a fucking ticket. And so, anyway, I don't know how much it cost me, but a lot of money back then when you're a kid, you know. I think I can, nope, I can't turn her now. Yeah. Just 3 days ago I could turn there, but now they're working on it again. So anyway, I didn't get away with that one. Yeah, I paid. It cost me money. And I was under 16. So technically they can make it so you can't get your driver's license until you're 18 when you pull a stunt like that. So, but I got lucky. You know, I went to court. All that bullshit. Yes sir, no sir, and all this kind of stuff. I could make a U-turn here, but it'd be kind of tight, so I'm going to keep going straight. Anyway, yeah, got busted for that. So what happened at Lotus? No, not Lotus, but Big Z. I went in there with a general idea of a few things I wanted to look at. I want a new dish rack, okay? One that drains into the sink. You know, has that lip, right? Because my stainless steel sink, the drain part, you know how you have a double sink and then you have that part off to the right or left where your stuff will drain. Well, it's not level. The bubble's off. It's going the other way. So water stands there underneath my drying rack. It doesn't drip off the freaking sink. And I tried, one night I tried kind of getting my putty knife under there, and I said, nah, I'm gonna break something big time. You know, screw this. So I'm gonna get a different rack that drains and then just extend the legs, right? On the uphill side. So I don't have that problem. Because, I mean, freaking mold. I mean, it just like, dude, shit don't dry. Okay, my eyeballs are off, so I can't tell. My depth perception if that car's coming or not. No. Okay, we're good. Anyway, couldn't find one that would work. Then I thought, you know, I've been really itching to get a vacuum cleaner. Little HEPA filter, something real easy, small, but enough watts, that kind of thing. So I bought a little vacuum, little R2D2, you know, thingamajiggy, and a couple other things that I really didn't need, but I got them. I almost missed my turn. I was having so much fun. Anyway, that's about it. Like bubble gum. I guess that's about it. No flooding here. Not even close. All right, man. That blew me away when I got that message from YouTube about having over 4,000 hours. Because when I put my channel to sleep 2 years ago, all those watch hours and all that shit went to 0. Which I wasn't like, oh my God, you know, it wasn't an issue. It was, I wasn't having fun anymore. So I just hit private. I'm gonna wave this guy around me because I gotta go wide. There we go. Good job. Look at that. See? That's fucking using your head. So pulling in, let's not make sure we don't hit something else. Anyway, I'm home. Thanks for the 4,000 hours, guys. I really appreciate it. Bye.